Hi everybody, welcome to the brushed workshop tonight. This is the kit from Close to My Heart. It was last month's Bring Back My Pack, but it is still available. I used a flip-flop on mine, as you can see, and then I also used a background cut from the Art Booking Cricut cartridge from Close to My Heart. So that's page 1. I just want to show you all the pages before we get started. And then that's page 2. Now, if you're taking this workshop, I will also be sending you still pictures of this so that you can have those to compare them to. This is page 3 and 4. Five and 6. And then page 7. Now, I also on this used our doily die that we have at Close to My Heart. If that is already gone by the time you use this, I'm sure you can find some fun doilies to use. If you look really closely, there's a little line right there, and what that means is that I didn't quite have enough paper to make one full doily left over, so I used 2 and just pieced them back together. And no one would ever know if I didn't point that out to you. All right, so when you're at one of my workshops, the first thing we have to do, and I'm just going to hope my phone doesn't fall out. See this little doohickey right here? I put all of my paper in here so that as I do cutting directions to you and call to you and tell you where to put things, you know where they go. So here's what I do. So pages 1 and 2 is White Daisy. So I put a piece of White Daisy on the top, 1 and 2, and I kind of offset it a little bit so that as I'm putting things in, if I say 1, I can put it here. If I say 2, I can tuck it under here. All right. In your cardstock, 3 and 4 is this beautiful lagoon. Five and 6 are back to white. And these White Daisies were not actually in your kit. What we needed was the brushed paper pack with stickers, the brushed coordinating cardstock, and just extra embellishments from your own home. So this white cardstock was actually not included in that, but I figure we all had white cardstock. All right, so that 5 and 6 is white. And then page 7 is a single page, and that is Smoothie. That's the salmon-y kind of color. So I'm just going to tuck that right here beside it. All right, now let me gently put you back down so you can see what's going on here. So at the end of this class, I will have one kit pre-cut. So if anyone doesn't love cutting and wants to purchase the kit pre-cut from me, I got one for you. All righty. So next, what you're going to do is all of your pattern paper has, and I'll show you guys, a zip strip. And on this zip strip, one side has the name of the kit. It has all the colors that were used in the kit, and it has our logo on it. And the other side is decorative. That is a 1/2 inch strip. So the paper actually comes to you 12 by 12 and a half. So what you want to do is cut that 1/2 inch strip off of everything. So you can either measure a 1/2 inch on this side of the arm and cut it that way, or you can just measure to 12 inches on this side. Is this thing still going? Oh, it is still going. Yay! I think I'd be talking more than 4 minutes though, haven't I? Okay, so do that with all your paper. Cut all of the zip strips off of all the paper. Oh. Make sure, don't do as I do, do as I say. Make sure that your paper is nicely against that bottom lip so that you don't cut it uneven, just like I just did. Okay. So once we have all the zip strips cut, we are ready to start cutting. The first thing that we are going to cut is the Pixie cardstock. That is this pink one. You're going to cut the Pixie cardstock. This is an easy cut, easiest one of the day. You're going to cut it at 6 inches.
Can you tell us light or dark side when that applies?
It's not going to matter on this one because it's going in the flip flap. So you'll be seeing both sides. So both of those can go on page 1.
Is the other half for non-flip flap?
It's for the one's for the flip flap and the other is for the inside of the base page. So one side's your base, one flip flap.
Oh, come on, use a flip flap.
Huh?
She doesn't do flip flaps.
Oh, really? Oh my goodness.
That's why I said you gotta get bold. Use a flip. You can try it.
All right, so I'm gonna go on. So your second pink, your second pixie, you're going to cut it 4 1/4. And then you're going to turn that 4 1/4 short and cut it at 6 1/4. So now for anyone that's new with doing a workshop with me, I do want to explain that to you. So when I say put it in the trimmer, I'll usually tell you if it's directional which way. Once you have that first cut and your paper is smaller than 12 by 12, then I will tell you to put it long, tall, or short in the trimmer. And what that means when I say tall or short is that means that the tallest part of the paper, so the longest part of the paper, is what goes in your cutting blade. So if I say the tallest, then this is the side that goes in your cutting blade. If I say short, then it's the short side of the paper that goes in your cutting blade. Yes, everybody with me? Okay, so back over here. So your larger piece, your 4 1/4 by 4 and 6 1/4 goes on page 1 as well. And the rest of that pixie is a scrap. For you, those of you that are here, I'll actually take it to cut out more of your Cricut cuts with. All right, so next is your yellow cardstock. So this is your lemonade, or is it canary? Let me look on my little thing and see. Oh, it's canary, it's not lemonade. Canary's a little bit darker. All right, so your first cut on your lemonade or your canary is at 5 1/2. Now turn that 5 1/2 inch piece short and cut it at 7 1/2. And that goes on page 1. Now keeping this piece of paper that fell off, keeping that tall in the trimmer, cut it at 3 1/4. And then turn it short and cut it at 4 1/4.
We're going 4 1/4 by 3 1/4.
Laura, where did the 5 1/2 by 7 1/2 go?
Page 1. Now this 4 1/4 by 3 1/4 goes on page 2. These two little pieces that fell off are scraps. Kylie, you with me? All right, so back to your yellow. put it in the paper, put it in the trimmer tall. So we're cutting on the longer side. So put it in the trimmer tall and cut it at 4 1/4. Now turn that piece short and cut it at 6 1/4. Your 4 1/4 piece, you're turning that piece short and cutting it at 6 1/4. And that 4 1/4 by 6 1/4 goes on page 2. Now keeping your rectangle that you have, keeping it in the trimmer short, just like you already had it, go on and cut it at 5 inches. And now turn the 5-inch piece tall in the trimmer and cut it at 3 3/4. So now that's 5 by 3 3/4. And that goes on page 2. All right, so what you have left, I need 2 1 by 12 strips out of. So put it in the trimmer tall.
What paper, I'm sorry, we're getting,
We're still on the yellow cardstock. Okay, so 1 by 12. Now my little tip is whenever I'm doing anything, any measurements on this Fisker's trimmer that is smaller, that is 1 inch or smaller, I use this side of the trimmer to measure with, because I have a little bit more of a lip for my paper to hold on to. Okay, so these 2 pieces that are 1 by 12 go on pages 3 and 4. All right, so your next cuts are going to be out of your second sheet of yellow. But for my people that are here with me, I'm going to give you each, because we're only using 2 inches out of it, and I need yours to Cricut cut with. So I'm just going to give you each 2 inches.
Thank you.
And if you'll trade me and give me your yellow.
The whole piece of yellow?
Yep.
Sorry. That's okay.
Yellow donation.
Okay, so you guys at home, I'm going to be mailing you your Cricuts, so you can use your full sheet if you'd like, but if you want to share one sheet between you, you only need 2 inches. So, but you need it in 1 inch strips. So everyone go on and cut your 2 inch piece that I gave you in half at 1 by 12. All right, I'm just waiting for Kyla to catch up because she's cutting everybody their 2 inches.
And then we're going, and we cut the 2 inch in half.
Yes.
Okay.
Put it tall in the trimmer and cut it at 1 inch. So you've got 2 pieces that are 1 by 12.
What page is those?
We're not putting them away yet. We have to cut them down shorter.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just wanted to get them caught up because they're just using 1 piece of paper, so as not to cut up 3 different pieces of paper for 2 inches each.
Yep.
We ready? All right, so one of those, turn them both short in the trimmer. One of them no, I'm sorry, don't cut them both short, only one. One gets cut at 6 inches. And the other one, y'all, I just screwed up. Okay, put your 2 6 inches. We're gonna pretend that's still at 12 inches.
Okay.
So put one that's at 12 inches on page 5. Your second one, you're going to cut at 8 inches. I was reading on page 6 and said 6 inches, but it's at 8 inches. So your 8 by 1 goes on page 6. Your 12 by 1, that since I screwed up, we'll have to put back together again, goes on page 5. All right, we good? All right, next we are cutting the yellow roses. One side is yellow roses and the other side is the green dots. So we've got yellow roses on one side and green dots on the other. Everybody together. This is not directional. It does not matter which way it goes. We're going to go on and cut this into thirds. We're going to cut it 4 by 12 2 times. So cut it at 4 inches. Put your 4 by 12 to the side and cut another 4-inch piece. Now we're going to take one of those, turn it short and cut it at 10 inches. That 4 by 10 goes on page 2 with the roses up. Now your little piece that's left, you're going to put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 2 inches. So we're making 2 2 by 2 squares. One of them goes on page 7. That's your salmon. You're going to be making little banners out of that. Your second one is a scrap. Or you can find a place to make more banners with. I don't mind. All right, so your next 4-inch piece, we're going to put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 7. Or if your trimmer is one of those that has the arm where you can't see the 7, cut it at 5. The 4 by 5 piece goes on page 1. And the 4 by 7 piece goes on page 2. Now I'm pretty sure those go green up. Let me double check. No. Where did the 4 by 10 go? Okay. All right, so last piece. Last 4-inch piece goes in the trimmer short and cut it at 9. And this goes on page 1. Now your piece that's left, put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 3. So you're cutting a 3 by 3 square. And it goes on page 3, green up. And then the little piece that falls off is a scrap. All right. Your second yellow roses and green dots. All right, I'm going to have you do the tiny cuts first so that no one cusses me. Ready? All right, so we are going to cut 1/4 of an inch by 12 2 times. So again, you can either measure the 1/4 of an inch on the short side of your arm, or you can measure 11 3/4. And what falls off is 1/4. And then you push it down and measure at 11 1/2. And then what falls off is 1/4. Yep. All right, so let's keep working on our big piece. So we've got it at 11 1/2, everybody. Let's go in and cut 2 1/2-inch strips. So push.
1/4 inch strips go?
I haven't put them anywhere yet. I'm just cutting all the little ones first.
Oh, wait, are these supposed to be 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch?
So first 2 were 1/4. Now we're doing 2 that are 1/2.
Oh, okay. I guess I do more quarters next since
So now we're doing 2 strips that are 1/2. So where am I at? I'm at 10 1/2 now, right? Yep.
Yep.
Okay, is everybody cut?
Where do these go?
We've got to cut them down some more.
Okay.
All right, so let's take our 1/4 inch pieces first. So the teeny tiny slivers, 1/4 inches, and put those in the trimmer short because you wouldn't want to cut them the other way. Y'all would really be throwing tomatoes at me. All right, so your first cut is at 10 inches.
Can we do them both or just one?
No, just one.
Okay.
So your 1/4 by 10 goes on page 2. And then that little bitty strip, that's your journaling spot.
Yay!
You're kidding.
No, I'm kidding.
I have letters that would just barely fit this.
All right, so your second 1/4 inch piece, we're going to put that in the trimmer and cut it at 5 inches. All right, and that 5-inch piece goes on page 1.
Where did the 10-inch piece go again?
The 10-inch, the 1/4 by 10 went on 2, and the 1/4 by 5 goes on 1, and then the rest of that piece is a scrap. And next we're working on our 1/2-inch pieces. One of them stays at 12 inches and it goes on page 2. The second one, you ready? All right, the second one gets cut at 6. Your 6-inch piece goes on page 1. And then you're going to scoot it down and cut it at 2 1/2. Your 2 1/2-inch piece goes on page 7. You're going to scoot it down one more time, and this time you're going to cut it at 1 inch, just a little bitty 1-inch piece. Also, when you're working with things that little, make sure that you bring the blade down toward you, toward where the your paper rests on the lip, so that you don't push it and get an uneven cut. That little bitty 1 by 1/2 inch goes on page 1. And the rest is a scrap. All right, now your large piece that you have left, put it in the trimmer short. Okay, so ready? All right, so your roses or green, put that in the trimmer short. It should be 10.5 inches now. Put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 6 3/4. And that 6 3/4 piece goes on page 7. That's your salmon color.
6 3/4
By 10.5. Yep, it was already 10.5. So what you have left is 5 1/4. Put your 5 1/4 inch piece short in the trimmer and cut it at 7 1/4. And that 5 1/4 by 7 1/4 goes on page 1.
Where was the bigger piece? Page
1. Okay, I forgot to turn you back on. I'm sorry here. So out of the, I've got to go back. I forgot to hit record again. So y'all give me a second. All right. So what you had left there, you put it in the trimmer tall and cut it at 3, and then turn it short and cut it at 4. And that was for page 4. So just that was your scrap of your rose. Now next we're going to be cutting this beautiful floral, the bold floral, and the opposite side is the diamonds. Floral and diamonds. This is not directional. I don't care which way you go. Your first cut is at 7 1/2 inches. 7 1/2 inches. All right, are we ready? Turn that 7 1/2 inch piece short in the trimmer and cut it at 9. So that's 7 1/2 inches. You want to turn that short in your trimmer and cut it at 9. So that 7 1/2 by 9 inch piece goes on page 4. This bottom piece that fell off, this little 3-inch piece that fell off, that is what you're going to be making 2 doilies with. And again, remember what I told y'all, that the doily, I didn't have enough to make 1 full doily, so I made 2 halves and pieced them back together again. If you look real closely, there's a little line in the middle. So I made 2 half doilies with the rest of that piece, which are on page 7. So if you would like to, well, you'll remember, put that on page 7 to make your doilies. All right, so your remaining 12-inch piece that we have, and this was now 4 1/2 by 12, that's what we have.
Yes.
Put that in the trimmer tall and cut it at 3 inches. I swear, once in a while, I don't know how they go crooked when like everything is straight on the thing, but once in a while when I measure them, it just looks a skosh off. So I got to turn it the other way. Okay, so that's 3 inches. So that 3 by 12 Hold up your 3 inches so I know we're all together. Awesome. 3 by 12 goes on page 6. And now what you have left, put that in the trimmer tall and cut it at a 1/2 inch. And if actually, since my zoomers are muted, if you don't mind holding up your 1/2 inch so I know we're ready, I would love it. That would make my life so good. All right, so that 1/2 inch piece that you have, Kyla's gonna start jump roping with hers. She's got her a choker. All right, so your 1/2 inch piece, put it short in the trimmer and cut it at 7. Y'all, I can't believe I did that again. It's supposed to be on page 7. It's a 1/2 by 11. Good thing this was a scrap. Get your large piece back out. Cut it at a 1/2 inch again. Now take that 1/2 inch and cut it at 11. I gotta stop looking at what page it goes on and just look at the measurements. All right, and the 1/2 by 11 goes on page 7, because y'all know, y'all cut it at 7 inches, and then I told you I screwed it up. Kyla, did you see that I screwed up? So a 1/2 by 11, and then all the rest of that little pieces, all those pieces are scraps. And now we're moving on to our second floral piece. Everybody hold that up when you're ready to move on. All right, first cut, is it 3 inches? All right, your 3 by 12 goes on page 5. Yes, ma'am, page 5. Now your 9-inch piece that you have left, put it in the trimmer short and cut it at 11.5. That 9 by 11.5 goes on page 3. All right, next we're cutting these two beautiful, beautiful, beautiful pieces of ombre. Now we are going to be cutting down through the ombre, so from yellow to pink. Does everybody here see me? We're cutting from yellow to pink. We're cutting from yellow to pink. I'm actually cutting mine with yellow up. Yellow to pink is the direction. All right, we're cutting it at 6 inches. All right, this one was easy. One goes on page 5 and one goes on page 6. Booyah. Uh-oh, we lost somebody. Did she just get overwhelmed and drop out of her chair? There she is.
We have very wide seats here at the Iowa campus. We can roll out of screen.
Oh, I see. I see. I see how it is. All right. So we are going to start cutting this one because we're going to be using some of this on the back side. We're going to start cutting on the darker pink. So we're cutting like this on the darker pink side. So for Zoom land, we're cutting like this on the darker pink side. We're cutting this direction on the darker pink side. Yes. All right. So first cut is at a 1/2 inch. Remember, we're not cutting the yellow. We're cutting on the pink. And we're cutting a 1/2 inch. 1/2 inch by 12, and we're doing that twice. All right, one goes on 5 and one goes on 6. Blue up. Now still cutting on the pink side, so I'm going to turn my paper around now. So I'm still cutting on the pink side, still cutting tall in the trimmer. This time I'm cutting it at 2 inches. Now that 2-inch piece, you want to turn it short and cut it at 10 inches. So we've got a 2 by 10. All right, your 2 by 10 goes on page 7. And your little square that you have left, put it in the trimmer and cut it at 1 inch. And you caught me, I cut mine wrong. Okay, so your 1, good thing the other piece was a scrap. All right, so your 1 by 2 goes on page 7. All right, now we're back to our big piece with the gorgeous yellow. Now this time we are wanting to cut to keep the yellow in it. So we're still going to cut off of the bottom because we want to keep the yellow in it. This time we're cutting it 6 1/2.
All right, you just lost me.
Okay, so we're cutting here. We're cutting 6 1/2 from this side. So we want to keep this. So we want 6 1/2 with the yellow.
With the yellow. Okay,
Yes.
So you put the yellow side. Okay.
We want to keep this yellow right here. So we want to keep the yellow. And we're going to cut it 6 1/2. Now we're going to turn that 6 1/2 inch piece short and cut it at 9. Yes, 9. And that 6.5 by 9 goes on page 2. And y'all, we're done cutting.
Where did the 6.5 by 9 land?
Page 2.
Do we use any zip strips?
Oh, yes, we use zip strips. Thank you for asking. That's a great question, Pam.
That's what I'm here
A great question. All right, let's look at zip strips. None on page 1, and none on page 2. Oh. Oh, hang on, door's locked. Oh, she got it. Where was this scrap? So on page 2, there's a little thing at the bottom, a little fold I did at the bottom. And I did screw up one of your cuts, so I don't know if you'll have that left or not. If not, you can find something to use it out of, but it's just like a little 1 by 6 piece that is zigzag folded to create a little ruffle. It's just a little embellishment. Just an easy little doodad to put in. All right, so now back to zip strips. 3 and 4 do not have any zip strips. All right, so page is 5 and 6 have all of the zip strips. All of them. They have the zigzaggedy one, the pink stripedy one, and the bubbly one that says, "Do what you love, believe, and you're my inspiration." So all of the zip strips go on pages 5 and 6.
And what was the size of that little doodad piece that?
It was about 1 by 6.
1 by 6.
Actually, this one would be good for it
Yeah, I was
too.
gonna say, we have this one left,
Yeah, that would be good.
and it is 6.5.
Yeah, that would be really good.
So do a 1 by 6.5 one.
So this leftover piece, if you cut that at 1, you can make this little guy right here.
And what page is that?
Sorry. I'm so
Page 1.
used to having it on Zoom on both ways.
Yeah, scraps, we can make it work. Laura.
Yes, we can. Yes, we can. Okay. So, while we are here, I am going to show you a little thing that I did on the base pages. So on these base pages, I used, and we can pass it around, I used our, was it sage? It's a green shimmer pen. And all I did was color in, so it's underneath of here, but I scribble colored with my green, and then I used it to tap. Actually, let me put this phone on Zoom and I'll let someone hold it. How about that? Will anybody do that for me? All right, I'm getting this other phone on Zoom. Maybe there it is.
Hey, Laura, what shade of green is that? Is it Lagoon?
No, I think it's julep. Nope. 892. There we go. Why aren't you going in? All right, what is happening here? Turn camera. Am I with you? Yay! All right. So now you get to see the rest of the mess. All right. So And you can use any color you want. I just wanted to use that soft green. Yep, it looks good from here. Okay, so what I did is I did it on both of my bases, and I just squeezed just a little bit out. Usually I don't like to squeeze over top of my project because sometimes it'll blob out. So I just want to squeeze a little bit. I've got a nice bubble there. And just do just messy in a couple of places. But then I also want to tap it out. So I just put my hand just like this. And if you notice, I have like a protective sheet because it kind of gets a little messy. But I just tap it on my hand to allow some splatter to happen. Okay. And you can just do a little couple pieces here and there.